Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be doing
What's going on, Slat Gang? It's time for the Black Midi New Road tier list.
the Black Midi New World tier list. Originally, we were going to also talk about Squid, but honestly, after re-listening and revisiting both of their records, I feel like we should do a different segment on that. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
Squid has so much more to talk about than honestly these bands do, and it's not to say that these bands are like I'm pulling out my sleeping bags as we speak, but I'm just saying like Squid is so much different than these bands.
I feel like also like to your point where you said earlier, like as far as like people talking about them, there's a lot more people who are talking about Black Country New Road and Black Midi. Compare that to like Squid, you know.
For sure, for sure.
And
And
we're talking about like Windmill. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, and for some reason, like the windmill scene, people try and make it like a big three or big four, but like there's no other big bands. Like it's just Black Country New Road and Black Midi. I mean, I'm sure they're bigger
Black
in the
Country,
UK, but in America, that's all we hear about.
yeah, Black Country New Road, Black Midi, Gap, Squid,
And Injury
and I'm
Reserve.
not.
Why not? Let's just add them too. They
Yeah,
have at least
Adam.
three albums.
At least three albums.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. But
Arizona represent.
hell yeah, man. Stand up.
Stand
Time
up.
to shine.
All right. Schlag.
All right, let's talk about
What are we thinking?
Schlagenheim. What do you think about
What are we
Schlagenheim?
thinking? Uh, for a long time, it was my favorite Black Midi record. It hasn't. It's not that it's grown off me. But I think it's a great um, uh, start to the Black Midi discography. As far as it's very tight, very noisy. Um, Songs are super well written, super well performed. The vocals, good God, the vocals are incredible. I think.
Vocals are absolutely gorgeous, and I'm glad that you mentioned type because I really do think it's a lot more focused than for the first time. I think for the first
It's a
time is a lot more adventurous and ambitious, but Schlagenheim, as even though that it explores like 90 different genres, I think Schlagenheim
Mhm.
has like a direct sound for what it's going for. It's very
Yeah, and
boundary
it.
breaking. It's very abrasive. It's more raw and it's more versatile. But as far as like it all coming together as an album, I feel like Schlagenheim does that a little bit better than for the first time.
I think I agree with you. Both albums fantastic, obviously.
For sure.
But again, for what it's trying to do, bringing all these influences and styles together and melding them pretty well, I think Schlagenheim, top to bottom, is a very consistent listen, very consistent, very again tight. Also, kind of an intricate album too. There's a lot going on, but it also, again, it gels very well.
100% agree. And what are we thinking of favorite tracks off of the record, like highlight moments?
Top three.
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna go BM 953 and Western.
Absolutely have to agree with you. I really like Near Detroit, Michigan. I think that's one of their
Mhm.
highlight tracks overall. Western, I had to agree with you on there. And at 953, definitely. Um,
Yeah.
the least favorite track, however, I'm really not a big fan of Speedway.
I think it's a nice little moment. Um, I would go more Speedway, maybe because it just doesn't stand out as much as everything else does.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as like best tracks go, like BM is my favorite for sure. The build is insane, and once it finally like gets going and breaks down, it's so hard. It's pummeling. It's gorgeous. I just don't have enough good things to say about it. It kind of reminds me of like an early Swans track, like from their more no wave albums, like a Filth.
And I have a feeling that's why I don't like Speedway as much, is because it's just the bare minimum no wave. There's nothing really stand out about it. I mean, I
Yeah.
suppose the vocal performances are a little like, uh, what do you call it, off-putting, and maybe that's the
Hmm.
like, maybe that's the appeal of it. It just doesn't really strike me as notable.
Yeah. Well, like, how do you feel of like Cameron Picton doing vocals over Greep? Like, obviously, I don't think he's as good of a vocalist as Greep, but you mentioned like he sings that track. I was just curious, like, what are you
Um,
feeling on him?
I think Greep is a much more animated and focused singer. I feel like Cameron has his moments, especially I
Hmm.
would say more so on Hellfire, than
Yeah.
Schlagenheim actually, but that's not one of his better moments. I
Okay.
think on the track Still, I think that's where he really picks up and the performance is elevated by his performance.
Eat Men Eat is also a great vocal performance, but
For
we'll get to
sure.
that when we get to it.
Oh yeah. So where are we thinking
Yeah.
Schlagenheim as far as rating? I'm
Uh,
thinking
Thinking A tier
A
also.
tier. I feel like
Hmm.
that's very respectable. All right. Now for the first time, I'll go ahead and start off by saying this is a very ambitious record. Absolutely no denying it. I think it serves as a clear appreciation point. Their influences, I wouldn't say, are very incredibly apparent to the point where it's like hard to hear.
Distracting.
Yeah,
Mm.
but the clear appreciation for math rock, Midwest emo, and Slint all come together in a very captivating and sort of blueprint esque style for what's later to come.
Hmm.
Um, but I really can't say enough good about this track. I mean, even as a debut record, something that's imperfect and unfinished. I wouldn't say unfinished. I would just say more imperfect and more
Yeah.
experimental per se.
It does feel a little more rougher on the edges than what they would do later. A little more noisy. Um, but for sure, I definitely see what you're saying there.
Okay, so anything else you want to
Uh,
say about for the first time?
um, why don't we talk about some highlights?
Highlights
What
for
are you thinking
sure.
for highlights?
Sunglasses is probably my favorite track off here. I think the
Gorgeous.
the build up at the beginning, the shoegaze esque
Hmm.
build up, absolutely
Hmm.
gorgeous. I almost cry before the lyrics even start, just to
Yeah.
prove how
And
gorgeous
then
it is.
once it builds like the chaotic mix of like Oren's guitars, all that, like his vocals, it all just builds and coalesces into something like incredible. You know, it's truly one of their best tracks.
I almost want to say it's kind of funny how the vocal performance escalates so chaotically. Like it's
Hmm.
in one instance it's so um bittersweet, and then it just evolves into him going absolutely manic.
Hmm.
Eh,
And it works though with the way it's built, the way it's played out, the way it's all progressed. It works so goddamn well.
oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely insane record by the way.
yeah, the instrumentals track to start the album off, it's super tight, it's concise, it's got some suspense to it. Um, and the build on that one is great too. It just keeps going and going and going, and sort of reaches like a peak, and it sort of really sets the stage for the record really well, I think.
For sure, I 100% agree. Um, where are we thinking? Uh, Sorry, where are we thinking rating this? I would say a very very high B tier, if not.
You didn't let me gush about Athens, France. Let me
Okay,
gush about Athens,
go ahead.
France.
Go ahead.
No. Uh, I think it's probably their best track or one of their best tracks, period. I really don't have anything from a purely songwriting standpoint and just the way it's put together. It feels like, well, I don't know if you could write a better song, to be honest. It feels like you're going on an album's journey in like one track, from like the intro to, it's Slint-esque, those comparisons. I get it, but, you know, it works
Doing tricks on it.
from there. Am I doing tricks on it?
You're definitely doing tricks on it.
All right.
It's easy to do tricks on it though. I think Athens, France is a gorgeous song.
Yeah, dude. And then sort of towards the end, the beautiful outro. It's gorgeous. I'm doing tricks on it. While I'm down there, I'll get the balls.
It is. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Is there a place in France called Athens?
I'm not European. I don't know that shit.
Surely there's not. I know Athens is like the capital of Greece, but
Yeah,
what the fuck? What kind of relation do they have? Have I just not heard the song enough? I don't fucking know.
there's a place in Tennessee called Athens, and there's also a place in Georgia called Athens.
Hell, man. I mean, we didn't we steal enough from the Europeans? We stole all the damn spices.
I suppose. And they steal everything else, so we're chilling. Um,
Oh man.
anyway, top three from for the first time: Athens, France, Sunglasses, Opus.
I honestly agree, almost like to a T. Sunglasses,
Mm-hmm.
Athens, France.
And
Maybe Science Fair.
Science Fair. I love how noisy Science Fair is.
It gets pretty damn
Um,
chaotic, and that's a common theme for the album. But I feel like that's probably one of the more on edge about it.
yeah, it's a lot. It's way more noisier. It's way noisier than Ants is for sure. By comparison, Ants is like way more of like a serene, lush album, a lot more pleasant. Like not like lyrical content because like it really can get you in your feels, but as far as like instrumentation goes, it's not like a super noisy, chaotic record. At least not as chaotic as for the first time is.
No. It's definitely not as chaotic. And I mean, the difference between Black Country and Black Midi is I feel like the Black Country New Road, the vocals are at the very forefront and they play an instrumental like role, unlike in Black Midi
Mm-hmm.
where the vocals they're very animated, they're very lively, but they're not as much as an instrument. That's why like you know uh, Greep and Cameron going back and forth. That's fine because I feel like they both play certain roles into the Black Midi, I guess, lore. But Black Country New Road, Isaac Wood is like the core element of the band. I can't see how they're gonna make a cohesive album. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, who are they gonna decide on the vocalist? Do they have like a trial in flames? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's and I think that's my biggest concern for whenever they do decide to drop another album is the cohesion. Like how 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 is bouncing between I presume it's still going to be like the three vocalists. Who knows if Georgia decides to sing, but who knows how like how um disorienting that could be. You know, I don't want to believe it's a concern, and certainly like it's not like a on Bush Hall. Like obviously that's there a little bit, but I don't know. I'm still kind of concerned about it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you there 100%. Um,
Mhm.
so where are we thinking this? I'm thinking personally, I would rank it just a bit below Schlagenheim. I'm thinking a B tier.
I agree.
You do agree with B tier?
I would say A tier for me, but like just like below Schlagenheim. So like A tier, but below Schlagenheim.
Okay, I could see that. Um, I probably have it about a nine as well, like a low nine. So I could see that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, Cavalcade, the one that we've both been like dreading describing. I'll go ahead and say that uh, Black Minis just will to absolutely disregard and throw away everything that they had been working up to this point. The noise rock, the no wave, the post punk, and go like more
Mm-hmm.
in a progressive rock direction, more King Crimson
Mm-hmm.
headed, more Yes headed, more psychedelic rock, more avant prog. It's an
Brutal
absolutely
Prague.
belligerent and insane move on their part, but God did it work. It's fantastic.
It's great. It's great. Also, but I also think that of all the records we're talking about today, it's my least favorite.
It is. Uh, it's not
It
my
is.
least favorite. It's probably my second though. I think it's a little less moving than Hellfire, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
at the time that Cavalcade came out, it was better than Hellfire because Hellfire didn't exist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
Hellfire exists now.
it does exist now, which means Cavalcade falls into the catacombs. It's no longer mentioned.
Well, for me, it's like, and I mentioned this before again, like before we started recording, is that Schlagenheim has its own identity and what it is,
Hmm.
and Cavalcade and Hellfire have their identities, what they do. More of that noisy, uh, proggy, jazzy leanings on them too.
For sure.
And I just think that Hellfire does what Cavalcade does better than just way better. Like Cavalcade is good, it's great, but if we are to, and I know how you feel about comparing, but for me, I feel like to to compare is to get the full picture.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like it's a great album on its own for sure. But in the shadow of Hellfire, I think that it doesn't stand up entirely. I think everything they would do on Cavalcade, they would go on to do better on Hellfire. Uh,
Would it be crazy to
it,
say that Cavalcade feels like a transitional moment between Schlagenheim and Hellfire?
no, I think it's on point.
Not in the
Um,
sense of like it's very disjointed or it's rather unfocused, but I do want to say that Hellfire feels like almost a play. Like everything is calculated. The performances are very eccentric, very enigmatic compared to Schlagenheim. Not that they weren't on Schlagenheim, but they're different, very different. Cavalcade though,
yes.
the vocals ring more similar to those of Schlagenheim. I guess they're just rawer, and it works in Cavalcade's favor. I will say that for some people, and I'm one of those people. I think it works very well for the album, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, it's easy to overlook it in Hellfire Shadow. So
I pretty much summed up my thoughts on it exactly. Now, as far as highlights go, what are you feeling?
honestly, I haven't heard the album. I don't know
No, I don't listen to music. I pay somebody else to do that.
exactly. That's what
Um,
I'm saying.
listen, music is overrated. Go fuck yourself. Go.
Listen, John L. It's probably the best song here.
Amazing opener. Sets the tone perfectly.
It does. It's like you can listen to John L. and know what the album sounds like. That's it.
Yeah.
Unlike any other
And
Black Midi or Black Country New Road album, you can't really listen to the intro and know what the whole album's going to sound like. Maybe 953,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's still a lot. There's still a lot. Like
Yeah.
Speedway sounds different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cause you get that, you get 953, and then it kind of switches up. But as far as like uh, John L goes, it's so insane, so off the wall, and really like again gets you in the mood for the record. Uh, no surprise here. Uh, that is one of my favorite tracks. I think my favorite though is Ascending Forth. Gorgeous track, especially the outro, sort of the ending of that track is incredible. The build, the length, it just feels like everything the record has to offer, just smushed into one track and laid out for you.
100% agree. And where are we thinking Cavalcade?
Mm-hmm. B,
B tier? I would say
low
very,
B.
very high B. Very, 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 very high B. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's just slightly below for the first time for me.
All right. Top three on Cavalcade is Dethroned, John L, and then Ascending Forth.
Is it bad that I haven't actually heard Cavalcade in so long that I don't remember the track list? Like, just, I think it was a year ago whenever we first started talking about Black Midi, or nearly, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
had not heard
Yeah.
Cavalcade. I had owned Schlagenheim on Hellfire for like
Mm-hmm.
6 months at least, and I'd still never heard Cavalcade.
That was literally what our first conversation was about. Was vinyl, and it was me talking about Black Midi.
Oh yeah. And after that,
Yeah.
I was really wanting to go check out Cavalcade, so I did. And then I, for some reason, kept going on and on and on about have never heard it, but I just haven't really like heard it on the same level as the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've heard Live at Bush Hall more.
Yeah. As far as all these albums, I definitely have heard Cavalcade the least. Um, doesn't mean I don't go back to it, but again, like I've mentioned, I go back to Hellfire more. Go back to for the first time. Ants. I just listen to those more than I do Cavalcade, which is another reason why I don't hesitate to put it higher because I just come back to it as much as I do all the other ones. You know, and it's
100%.
not because I just haven't; it's because I don't want to as much as I do the other ones. You know.
Cavalcade has a very particular sound that I come back to whenever I'm wanting to hear Hellfire, but I don't feel like a theater kid that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Theater core.
exactly.
All right.
So what the hell do we think about Ants from Up There?
The decade. It's beautiful.
Because that is
It's a
like
beautiful record.
the embodiment of what this album is. Like it's gorgeous.
Absolutely stunning.
And
Absolutely stunning.
one thing that I've picked up from the title is that like this album is so larger than life and so moving that it really does make you feel like an ant. It's like walking up to some sort of like great monument, like the Eiffel Tower or like the Statue of Liberty, and realizing how small you are in the world. This album is like that in music
Hmm.
form.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, dude. I mean, I'm really at a loss for words, and I have been since I heard it. You know, in and out throughout this entire track list. You're just getting beautiful lyricism, beautiful playing. You know, it's it's again, it's way more lush on the ears and
For
a lot
sure.
more pleasant to listen to as far as like the instrumentation goes than the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't, man. I just, again, I'm at a loss to words, dude. It's
There's a lot that's been
so
said
good.
about the album that like you can't really say any better than how it's already
Such a
been said.
such a freaking passionate piece of music.
Oh
It
yeah,
just feels like so much love and care went into it.
the narration,
It's
the
so.
storytelling, the
Hmm.
production, it's all top tier. Every single track, there's not a
Yeah.
single track that I even feel is like
Hmm.
slightly on par with some of the worst material I've heard
Hmm.
in the genre. Much rather, I mean, the
Hmm.
band is like for the first time doesn't hold a candle to this album in my opinion.
Uh, yeah, I agree. For the first time, as fantastic as that album is, Ants is on another planet.
Well, what
You
I'm
know.
saying is for the
Would it-
first time, I don't think the music's bad. Obviously, I mean, I gave it an A, but as far as an album, Ants from Up There is like one of the best albums of the last 20 years. And for the first time, still feels like it's, falling over a little bit every once in a while. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
this is just slid. Ants from Up
This
There,
is just.
the only comparisons I can really make it to outside of the already, math rock and the Slint Arcade Fire, I think that's been mentioned a million
Mhm.
times. But yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like the funeral moment or whatever.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And
it's fantastic. It's beautiful art rock. It's beautiful progressive rock, but
hmm
it's not pretentious at all. It is just gorgeous in every second of its runtime.
absolutely, absolutely.
Whether it's being
It's
a suspenseful vocal performance leading into like a fucking tornado of drums, like on Snow Globes, or just
if I hear
the
one more person complain about that.
yeah, whoever's complaining about the drumming on Snow Globes has no ears, and I think they deserve to have them removed.
Yeah, we don't go that far, but like yeah,
No, I would go
dude.
that far. And then, as far as the place where he inserted the blade, like by the time that Isaac gets around to saying that part of the song, I've already cried about 3 times.
Good morning, good morning. So good. Highlights. What are we thinking?
All of them.
All of them. But if
But
you had to pick some,
I will say, my number one track is the place where he inserted the blade. There, you can't make a better song than that. It's the best song.
my favorite is Goodwill Hunting.
I don't think it's the best song of all time. I think it's probably like top 20 art rock. I don't know of any other 20 in my art rock list, but there's probably a Radiohead song there. That's all you need to know.
With the place he inserted the blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that, Snow Globes for sure, and
Moving
Basketball
on.
Shoes. Absolutely gorgeous
I would
songs, all of
go.
them.
I would go. Uh, Place where he inserted the blade, snow globes, and my favorite, Goodwill Hunting.
For sure.
Tried to text me nothing, but she wants to.
Okay, we can confidently put this at S, right? Like no doubt about
She
it.
had Billy. Yeah, yeah. That
No doubt
moment
about it.
when she has Billie Eilish style,
That's what I'm saying, man. Like
trying to make me go to Berlin for a little while. You feel me?
I need to. I need to go see what they're up to, man.
Yeah. Pull a David Bowie, go to Berlin. You know.
For sure.
Moving to Berlin for just a little while.
All right. Another album that me and Bennett both have as a 10, like Hellfire by Black Midi. What do you think of this album, Bennett?
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's a pummeling, heavy, super tight, super. Ugh, it's so exhilarating. Just throws everything it has at you, and it's perfect for it. It's, again, from the start of the album, to the closer. It's.
Mhm.
Did I mention that it's tight?
Oh man.
Uh,
Hold on, let me get a
no,
little
from top.
big in this fight. Um, so whenever I say theatercore, a lot of people immediately go to Sleep Token or Dance Gavin Dance, some awful band
Ugh.
like that just it gives you like a bad taste in your mouth, like licorice, immediately after thinking of
For,
the band. Um,
yeah.
but what I will say is that Hellfire is very similar in the way aesthetically to Clipping. This might be a crazy statement, but Clipping
Hmm.
is unlike any other rap group that I've ever listened to. They have a
Yeah.
they have the power to embody a movie scene in a song.
Hmm.
And in this album, Hellfire, I believe they have recaptured that exact energy. Except rather than
Hmm.
maybe a horror movie scene, like straight out of a play or straight out of a 1950s boxing ring, like on the track
Hmm.
um Sun,
Sugar Zoo.
yeah, Sugar Zoo. That
Sun
song.
Tzu, The Art of War.
Sure, sure. Um, yeah, that album is the album is fucking phenomenal. The song is beautiful.
Yeah.
Welcome to Hell is
Welcome
absolutely
to Hell.
it's frantic, it's over the top, it's cinematic, like gorgeous.
Yeah.
The building sense, the way that they like
Hmm.
break in the chorus is just it really makes me
The
want to
the
feel like it's some people want to label it corny, but I just see it as fantastic. It's like they're putting on a good
sort of
show
the
for you.
sort of the push and pull, like the tension and the release of that track. So orgasmic, so addicting.
Oh yeah. And if it
Um,
wasn't performed as
yeah.
well as it was and it wasn't so authentic, then maybe it would be corny, but honestly,
Hmm.
everything aligns in just the right order and I think that it works. It works just as it should.
Facts, my boy. I agree. What are some other highlights you thinking?
All of them. I will say 27 questions and welcome to hell for sure.
The race is about to begin. The
Eat
race
men
is about
eat.
to begin.
Race is about to begin.
Still,
Still. Um,
the defense. Dangerous liaisons.
I can't
And we
even.
just listed off the whole track list.
Yeah, we did. Okay, let's get down to a
Yeah.
solid three. I say welcome to hell is absolutely necessary.
Hmm.
27 questions.
I say that. Hmm.
And what do you think for the last one?
For you or for me?
For you.
For me, it would be the race is about to begin, Sugar 2, and then my favorite, Welcome to Hell.
Absolutely agree with you. I think,
I can't get enough of the tension, the release, the push and pull, the building of that track. It's so great, you know.
oh yeah. So where are we thinking of this? Probably like a strong B.
Strong B. Are you on crack?
I'm thinking it's probably slightly below ants from up there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't say since they're both tens. How I usually go
Mm-hmm.
about thinking in comparison of tens is usually how close they emotionally resonate with me. Of course, ants from up
Mm-hmm.
there has a lot more uh, emotional impactness on me, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, that sort of criticism would be heavily biased towards more melancholic albums.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wanting to say more that I feel like Ants from Up There is more of a sort of like an exceptionally moment in BCNR's catalog, as Hellfire just seems
Mm-hmm.
like a step up from Cavalcade, a step up from Schlagenheim. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, as far as tens go, it's more of a like either an emotional, like it resonated with me emotionally, or like it blew my mind in a way nothing else has. So, for instance, Hellfire would fall under that category, whereas I think Ants would fall under it really hit me hard in the feels, and also it sounds damn good, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a mix of, there can be a mix of both too. For example, uh, uh, by the time I get to Phoenix, um,
Oh yeah, blows you
but
away and kills you. Absolutely
yeah, dude,
stomps on your heart.
we gotta do a freaking episode on by the time I get to
Oh
Phoenix.
yeah, retrospective for sure.
Absolutely.
Or maybe we could just do like a artist overview of Injury Reserve and talk about
Mm-hmm.
how they artistically progressed and how their
Mm-hmm.
downfall is so fucking tragic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You get me all in my feels, bro.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
I'm sure it
Rest in
hits
peace,
even
Grog.
closer to home because you're really right next to him,
Yeah, dude. Arizona represent. Love my boys.
man.
Uh, yeah. Anyway, hey, S tier.
Yeah, for sure. S tier right below Ants, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the last record in both catalogs. Let's talk about Live at Bush Hall. Bennett, what do you think about Live at Bush Hall?
I think this is the textbook definition of a transitional album. It's a very good transitional album, but I really think that that's just it shows a lot of promise, but at the same time also gives you pause and is like, okay, well, it does both. It gives you areas where you're worried about where the band progresses, and it also gives you areas where you're excited where the band progresses. You know, songs like Turbines, Pigs get you really excited for where the band could go. But then, like I mentioned earlier, sort of the sort of back and forth between vocalists, how could that create for like a disjointed record? Could that affect it in a negative way?
The way that the three vocalists are working on Live at Bush Hall, it's very effective for like a sampler platter of an album. But
Mm-hmm.
the Black Country New Road albums, they feel very interpersonal, very intertwined, very story-like
Mm-hmm.
to the vocalist, and for that reason,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well a it would probably sound good regardless, but in
Mm.
concept,
How well it would connect, you know?
yeah, how well all the stories
'Cause
would connect to each other.
you do make a good point because again, the previous two records in the lyrics, it's just so Isaac, you know. You really get a sense of like a sort of a portrait of him throughout those albums, and I feel like you said, taking that away could create for a disjointed listen because like what you're not gonna get that when there's a handful of singers doing their thing,
For sure.
you know.
But honestly, the vocals, how well they're performed and how well they're done, I think they can all hold their own. And it honestly makes me
Mm-hmm.
think that they have demos in the vault that are Ants from Up There and For the First Time tracks that are recorded
Mm-hmm.
and originally sung by other band members. Maybe they're not all
Yeah.
from uh, Isaac Wood's perspective. Maybe they're all from different perspectives, just in a very similar
Mm-hmm.
lyrical vein.
Freaking May sounds like sounds like Björk.
She does sound a lot like Björk at points.
Björk on the track. I saw that. I listened to it the first time. I was like, freaking Björk in the studio. Like, what's going on?
That would
Uh,
be a dope ass collab, though. You really think about that?
I would love that. I would love that. That would sound sick as fuck. It probably won't ever happen, but I can dream.
No, hell no, it'll never happen, unfortunately.
I mean, well, Björk Death Grips happened, so that's
Was
you
Bjork
never
actually
know.
in
I
the
guess
studio, or did they just like sample?
I don't know. I I know she gave them like the vocals to sample, I think, and then like they did a remix on her I forget what the album's called, but she had like a remix album,
Hmm.
and they did a remix on it, I think, if I recall correctly.
All right. So what are some highlights here?
Highlights for me, Up Song, great introduction, really sort of get a sense of togetherness with the band. Uh, Up Song, I Won't Always Love You, great vocal performance from Tyler there on that track. And then my favorite is Turbines, most ambitious song on there.
I think
Easily shows like good,
honestly, my favorite song is probably "Across the Pond," just because like the
great track.
performance on that track, absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And Turbines
Yeah,
Pigs, honestly, can I be honest with you just a second? I feel like Turbines
yeah.
Pigs is probably like one of the most overrated tracks on the album. Not because it's a bad track, but
Shut up.
on
Shut
rate
up right now.
on Rate Your Music, it has like a 4.8 average, and I have a feeling it's just because it's the longest track there.
I mean, a lot of people mistake length for ambition, but I wouldn't say that that's the case here.
Maybe not, but I feel like there's no way in hell that like 98% of the people that listened thought that was the most emotionally resonated song on the album. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's a sampler platter. It's not everything's gonna be for everybody.
Yeah, I get that. I get what you're saying.
All right, so
Side note, but the Death Grips remix was for the Sacrifice song, and it's on her remix album Bastard from 2012.
interesting. Never knew that.
Yeah.
All
Well, now
right.
you know.
So where are we thinking about
Sure.
Live Bush Hall?
B.
Below Cavalcade or above?
We can go. We can go below.
Okay, just a little bit more disjointed, slightly.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think that concludes a very solid list. Is there anything else you want to add, Bennett?
Um. Not really. Just no. Oh, actually, I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you could pick one of these bands, to be the one, it's obvious that these bands are the two best of the 2020s so far. But which one is the best? If you could pick one.
I want to say Black Midi, and only because um, Black Midi as a band overall feels a lot more unified. They feel a lot more inseparable. Black Country New
Mm-hmm.
Road. I mean, as a six piece, it was almost inevitable that they were gonna break apart. I mean, what did they do? Form in college?
I think.
Yeah, I
Well,
think they were like all at
yeah.
the same university, and they like they're all band kids. They
That's
all
what I'm
have things to
saying. It's
do.
like it's a lot easier to stay, tight as a unit when it's three dudes, and it's a lot easier to come across as together and very chill when it's not a seven piece and one of those dudes left, you know.
And
So.
I wouldn't say that it's fair to base my rating on that alone, but instead
Hmm.
the longevity of Black Midi seems much longer than Black Country New Road. I have a feeling that
Hmm.
they're probably not going to stay a band much longer. And if they are, they're probably going to go under a different name or separate into different groups or just release
Yeah,
live albums. I don't know what they're going to do, but it just feels unlikely that they're going to carry on the BCNR title for too long without the
yeah.
main character behind it. I mean, it just doesn't seem likely.
I mean, we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'm hyped to see where it goes, but
I'm hyped regardless. I mean, the music sounds good regardless. You know what I mean?
and I will listen to whatever they drop solo, or
Hell yeah.
if they decide to splinter off. I will be here to listen to it.
I will be there
I'm
regardless.
dedicated. I will be there no matter what. uh, yeah, no, but I would go Black Midi as well.
Yeah, I think it's just. I mean, I think Greep's already teasing another album. He said like, "This is gonna be the best music you've heard in the last 25 years."
That's a high bar, Mr. Greep.
It is, and the thing is, they can't top Hellfire. Like, I mean, they can, but it would be like trying to top to pimp a butterfly. You just can't. You gotta go sideways,
I mean,
man. You
like
can't go up.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to go sideways. It's just you know, just keep doing what they're doing. You know, and not like keep doing what they're doing is in the sound, but like in the quality. You know, just
Oh yeah.
see what you can do.
The thing
They don't
about
strike me as the guy. Go ahead.
the difference between Black Country New Road and Black Midi is that Black Country New Road has stuck to the same sound. They've they've made it more unique and they've made it more their
Hmm.
own. But as far as genre wise, they've kept doing the same thing and it just improved in
Yeah.
quality. Black Midi
Yeah.
has stuck at just about the same quality, and they have done just about every goddamn thing under the sun.
You know, they don't strike me as the band that will stick in one sound or style for too long. I think they I think they'll keep doing like what I mentioned before with like Cavalcade and Hellfire. I think they'll maybe like drop maybe one or two albums uh, in like a set style or whatever, and then move on to something else. They don't strike me as a band. Uh, I feel like they're so ambitious, and their ambitions would keep them from doing something like that.
Do you
Or maybe
think?
they just continue building on it. But I don't know where else you can go from. Like again, you can't go up. it's, Hellfire is as good as it's gonna get.
Do you think
So
that similar to Wednesday, that Black Midi is going to release like an alternative or noisy country album?
I don't know. I mean,
I mean,
they could do whatever.
If you listen to Still, I think there's very clear hints of country there. And I would absolutely die to hear them expound upon what Wednesday was trying to do with Rat Saw God.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you listen to the highlights of that album has some gorgeous highlights, like 10 out of 10 track highlights, but it's just not consistent as it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. That does sound rather intriguing. I agree.
All right.
Mm.
Well, I think that settles it. I think that's the nail in the coffin. I think that's the can of worms has been sealed forever.
Not forever, bro.
Not forever. We
Okay,
have
but
to talk about Squid still.
when do you think when do you think we're gonna get another album from them?
Hopefully never. I don't want to ever hear anything from these bands ever again. That this was
I
like
know they suck.
that this
They
was
suck.
actually horrendous to sit through.
Oh, dude, they suck. Put on some Ed Sheeran. You know,
Holy
put
shit.
on that new Sleep Token.